I think it's actually one of the greatest honours to actually be involved in this and to be nominated for awards such as this because Les Kennedy's name is attached to it.
I really do think it's about time New South Wales had a journalist awards, and we finally have them.
New South Wales journalism has had to run its luck in the Walkleys for so long, and we shouldn't have had to. I mean, we should have had our own press club, our own awards, and it's about time it happened.
The quality of field, Melbourne Cup field.
And it's quite appropriate that we are at the top of Sydney because that's where Les Kennedy was. He was at the top of his game.
Coming back with the story, with the scoop, with the angle. That's what it's all about, and I think that awards like these, especially one in Les Kennedy's name, will inspire younger journalists to be that sort of a journalist, a proper journalist.
I've even gone back, read all of his old stories and just said to myself, I really want to write like this guy.
Les was a journo's journo. He always did his homework. He was always thorough, methodical, and you could count on what he wrote being 99% of the time being absolutely right.
Les was passionate. Les would drive you absolutely bloody nuts, but he loved what he did. And I can't think of a better person for an award to be named after.
I'm much younger than him, but the one thing he always did was, I'd see him at the pub, he'd come over, and instead of that competitive spirit that kind of exists between newspaper journalists, he just kind of came over and took me under his wing and would always kind of help me out with my yarns. There was never any animosity, and I genuinely really adored the guy. And
I think it means a hell of a lot for the young generation. I mean, if they can be inspired by the legend of Les Kennedy and the type of journo he was, I think as it was stated before, he was the type of bloke who had a lot of passion, a lot of drive, made a lot of contacts, used up shoe leather, and that's what true journalism is, not Google and telephones, shoe leather, contacts, passion and pride in your work.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please give a big warm welcome to our host this evening for the inaugural Kennedy Awards, Ms. Ellen Fanning.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The audio cue tells me to say I'm Ellen Fanning. Welcome to the inaugural Kennedy Awards for Excellence in New South Wales journalism. Isn't it great to be here? Look at all these people in this room. Give yourselves a round of applause. A special welcome for our many special guests who are here tonight as well. Thank you very much for your company. In a difficult year for our profession, tonight will be a cause for historic celebration. We've gathered to honour the memories of 5 great journalists and 1 legendary news chopper pilot and their legacies. Les Kennedy, Cliff Neville, Sean Flannery, Paul Lockyer, Peter Rule and Gary Ticehurst were all of them masters of their craft. They were our mates. They were dedicated, they were passionate professionals who entertained us, enlightened us, and informed millions of Australians over the past 5 decades. So when the idea for these awards was first hatched in a pub, of course, the founding journos agreed that the achievements of these media giants really deserve to be remembered with something a little more profound than the beer-soaked banter in the bar room. And then it dawned on them that unlike other states, New South Wales doesn't properly recognise journalists who, after all, toil in the world's most competitive news environments, one of them. And from that moment on, the Kennedy Awards were born, and the fledgling committee soon found itself in a boardroom forming a partnership with the Charles Perkins Trust for Children and Students. Les Kennedy was proud of his Indigenous heritage, and this marks the beginning of what hopefully will be a long association. So, working closely with the Aurora project representing the Perkins family, the committee decided to launch the Kennedy Awards tonight on the anniversary of Les Kennedy's death last year. This time, 12 months ago, I am told that many here gathered at the Cowrie Foreshore Hotel in Glebe to farewell the legend who was the inimitable, irrepressible Les Kennedy. It was to be a last goodbye to Les, but he had died just 8 hours earlier. And so it became this extraordinary celebration of a life lived large by one of the true characters of Australian journalism.
One of the great modern day police reporters.
He was out there meeting cops, and he was coming back and bringing home the bacon, which was some fabulous exclusives.
If you're a storyteller, you've got to go out to where the stories are, and I think that's something that Les did brilliantly.
Contact-driven journalism isn't finished, and if we begin to believe it's finished, we're all finished. We need to hang on to the critical parts of the job, and Les represented those.
Had the respect of everybody.
From barristers to judges to police chiefs to yoga instructors to models to taxi drivers to poets. He was a genius at meeting people and joining people together.
Les loved what he did. He was old-fashioned journalist. He used to walk with it and follow the story. He took it to his heart.
He did his best work out on the beat.
On night shift, sitting around, talking to the cops, on the street.
Les Kennedy was a consummate police reporter.
It's a really hard slog, crime reporting, and to be able to pass on what you've learnt over many years like Les did is just such a special thing.
Oh, he was a legend. It was never a dull moment.
You sense him here tonight?
Oh yes, I know. I know he's here.
He's here and he's ordering a beer at the bar as we speak.
In fact, we're in Les's office. This is where he worked from.
Oh yeah, we've all sat in the pub listening to the stories, reading the drafts, but every single moment was so special.
And he would then have the great pleasure in telling you at any time of the day, whether it be 3 o'clock in the morning or any other time, about those stories before they actually went to press.
Les wasn't a reporter for police, he was a friend.
He was so generous to so many reporters from radio, broadcast, TV, across all mediums. He was fantastic.
Les taught me that it's about telling somebody's story. It's not about setting an agenda. It's not about the ego of the reporter. It's about the story that needs to be told to the people that are reading or watching or listening to the story.
As you can see from that video at Les's impromptu wake, there were chain-smoking tabloid warriors, rubbed shoulders with broadsheet aficionados, senior cops, clinked glasses with lawyers and barristers representing the underworld, and many young journalists mentored by Les were there, trying to get a firm grip on the legacy he left each of them. Les's farewell was a truly remarkable gathering and the inspiration for why we're here tonight. Now, as word of the award spread, close friends and colleagues from 5 other legends lost in the last year suggested that they be honoured in this celebration of quality New South Wales journalism. So tonight, we also remember their enormous contributions. Veteran television producer and newspaper man Cliff Neville. Cliff Neville, go on. Cliff is remembered in a wonderful award, the Most Outstanding Team Player Award. Cliff was the glue that held 60 Minutes together for many years. The most lovable rogue ever to hold a microphone, Sean Flannery. Sean is honoured in the category of Most Outstanding Radio Report. Paul Lockyer. What can you say about Paul Lockyer? A veteran ABC and Channel 9 journalist, a foreign correspondent, who came back to the Australian bush to bring us stories about the people who are the heart of this country. The award for Regional Reporting of the Year is appropriately named in his honour. Peter Rule. Peter Rule was once described by Fairfax CEO Greg Highwood as a national institution. Peter is remembered for his wit and wisdom in the Most Outstanding Columnist Award. And finally, Gary Ticehurst. Gary was a hero to many after he helped save lives, we'll recall, in the 1998 Sydney to Hobart tragedy. He was a dedicated helicopter pilot who provided a spectacular platform for hundreds of his ABC camera colleagues to shoot memorable aerial pictures. And the award with his name on it tonight is for Most Outstanding TV News Camera Coverage. Tonight could not have happened without our wonderful, generous sponsors, so many of them. Coles, Pelican Artline for the splendid Spirax trophies. I'll tell you about those in a moment. And our great friends Adam Coleman and Rebecca Mazrua for the magnificent souvenir programs. Great idea. We'd like to thank P&O Cruises, the Australian Turf Club, Network 10, the NRMA, the Australian Hotels Association, the 7 Network, Sky News Australia, Destinations New South Wales and the Department of Aboriginal Affairs. So much more could be said and indeed can be read in that tribute program on your table. Make sure you take it home, it's a great read. But now, in the spirit of tight, punchy copy, this speech ends now, and I have to tell you there's a rule. It applies to everyone but me, I think. For all of the 30 winners here tonight, your speech, if you choose to give one, Mr. O'Farrell, you'll be pleased to hear this rule is applied to other people. We want a 6-second grab or less. Now, for those of you who've never worked in television, if Todd goes like that, that means hurry up. If he goes like that, it means something much more sinister. And our first award, the Spyrex Trophy, featuring the notebook that Les Kennedy carried with him everywhere, and he probably slept with, is named after Paul Lockyer, one of the nicest and best reporters in the history of Australian journalism. As we mentioned earlier, he was an award-winning journalist for the ABC's 7:30 report, and his friends there prepared this tribute.